Hey folks, welcome to this week. So we are 3 weeks. We have this week, next week, and the week after. And then that's it. So 3 more weeks. So what are your big assignments that are coming up? This week you have the Annotated Works Cited page. Next week you have your draft, and the week after you have your paper. I've begun looking over. I tried to get through. It's been a crazy time right now in my world, but getting through your essays that you submitted last week, I'll get them done by the end of the week. I'm sure they'll be easy to grade since I've already gone through and given comments, so that should be a pretty easy thing. There won't be a lot of comments on them, just a quick note, and I'll go through the rubric with each of those and check on the rubric, and we'll go from there. So that's a heads up there. We have the Annotated Works Cited page. News flash. I did move the due date from the 16th to the 18th, so it's not Tuesday, it's Thursday. I'm going to put that in the announcement for this video, but also just keep in mind that on Thursday, your Annotated Works Cited page is done. We're going to go over the assignment here in just a minute. I'm going to show you another page that you can go to. So you have like little blurb about annotations in this module. You have a little video, a 7-minute video about annotations and annotating your documents here. And then I'm going to show you a page from the Purdue Online Writing Lab that I'm going to put the link in on the announcement. So this should be a pretty quick video, but I want to touch base on the assignments so everybody understands what's going on. So pretty much it's a lot of the same material that's in the paper. So this is the Theme Research Paper Annotated Works Cited page. That's what that AWC stands for, Annotated Works Cited. Pretty much all of this is about the assignment, about the paper. It's very similar to the paper assignment. And most of you have really interesting topics. I would mention, as I went through them, several of them, some of them you weren't connecting to documents like we're going to talk about here, or you weren't connecting to the text that we've read. So when you look here, develop a research topic associated with a theme found in the literature studied this term. And then here can focus on the theme. Just be sure to cite from the text used in the course in the essay. So you also need to use the text. So for example, if you're talking about a theme of, I think I used love, and how maybe romantic love is reflected in the poetry in Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare, or how it's reflected in society today, or maybe how art or music or media portray art differently than they did and for Sonnet 18, and how that's evolved. That would be fine to do as well. But you need to make sure that you're using those texts as well as the things you're going to research. So keep all that in mind as you're moving forward with the paper. Okay, so you determined your claim. Most of you, you're on really good trajectories with that. I'm really anxious, or not anxious. When I say anxious, I'm looking forward to reading those papers because the topics seem very interesting, fascinating. Okay, there we go. Step 1, determine your claims. Step 2, find your sources. Hopefully you've been doing that. Many of you have, clearly, because you posted them on your theme and your thesis assignment that you just turned in. Some of you did not have those. That was part of the assignment, so you're supposed to have some of those. But now you need to make sure you're solidifying these. So you're going on to the Eastern Florida Library database or into the library itself. But the database is super simple since it's an online course. My guess would be that most of you are accessing that. I went through that in the previous video. So if you're like, how do I do that? Go back to the previous video and it's there. Sometimes on these videos, I look at the views on them and I think to myself, I feel like that Will Smith character, and I forget what the name of the movie was, where he was isolated in the world. He kept sending out a message to the people. And as I was finished watching the series Three Body Problem, and they've been sending messages out to outer space, and finally they came back, and sometimes I feel like I'm sending the message out. But clearly some of you are watching them and you're really doing well with those. Anyway, so once you find your sources, and again, I'm going to reiterate, only sources available at the library, full text articles, not just a abstract or something of that nature, and avoid these types of sources: dictionaries, encyclopedias, Wikipedia, biographies, reviews, pro-con articles. You're looking away from those. I should be able to find any of the sources that you're utilizing in the Eastern Florida database. It's that simple. So when hold on, let me check this interesting source. Let me copy and paste this source into my Eastern Florida search, and boop, there it is. Not Google. This is not a Google or a Google Scholar place, and they even mention it down here. All right, you get your citations, and you're doing the MLA formatting. So you're preparing the Works Cited page under the MLA formatting for whatever type of source it is that you've utilized and how you've accessed it. Then here's the meat of the assignment this week. Annotate your sources. Create clear, complete annotations or summaries of each source. Do not use abstracts listed in the library catalog or databases. Copy and pasting here is not going to bode well for you, because I am absolutely on a mission looking and finding if these things are either borrowed or repurposed. This should be you reading the document and then summarizing what you're getting out of it. And the way that I see it, so for example, when I did my thesis for my master's, I had to do an annotated bibliography, annotated works cited page in essence. And it was, I don't know, 20 pages long, 30 pages long. And what I looked for in the articles that I chose is what in this particular article, what in this particular document is beneficial to me. So I want to give kind of an overview about what's going on, but absolutely, I'm not necessarily having to quote what's going on there, but I'm summarizing or paraphrasing how this particular document facilitates what I'm trying to do. So you have your theme, you have your thesis, you have what you're trying to accomplish. What is going on here? So I mentioned on a couple of the posts that you had for your themes and your thesis statements, making sure that somebody's writing about a couple of people were bringing up connections to family, or the way families are raised, or the way children are raised, or the way that parents behave. Completely valid. Look up information from psych papers or I don't know, social service papers or something of that nature, to where you're bringing in some data, some information from outside sources that back up your claims based on the themes that you've chosen. So that's what you're looking to do. Include information as to whether the source is current and usable for your research. Note the sources you include do not need to be included in the research paper, right? Somebody asked, a couple people asked that. Therefore, the sources used on this assignment may prove to be unusable. So as you're reading these, and I mentioned this to a couple people who had asked this question in the post, you're going to read these, you're going to have 5 of them. And you're like, hold on, you know what? 2 of these I can use, but these other 3 I can't use. Or 3 of these I can use, and these other 2 I can't. Whatever it is, you should be able to use some of them, and you should use some of them. But you might not use all of them. If you're ready, you know what? I'm not going to be using this. Acknowledge that. That's fine. Research is sloppy, but if you are, how do I want to put it? John Cotterazzo was a professor of mine at Colorado State, and he put it to where he would do research. He wrote a lot of nonfiction books. He was really focused on volcanoes, ironically or interestingly, and he would talk about having just notepad after notepad filled with research on something that was going to be 4 or 5 pages long, an article in a magazine or something. So you need to cover the scope of the research you're doing and then find inside of that. You should not be looking like, oh my gosh, I only want to read and look for things that will absolutely fit into this. Because if you do that, you're going to miss so much that could add such depth and value to what it is you're writing. Okay, so we talked about the annotations, and I'm going to give you this website on the. I'm going to show you in a second, and then you're going to format the MLA, then you submit the assignment. So we know how to do all those things. I'm a big fan of the Purdue Online Writing Lab. The Eastern Florida stuff is fantastic. The sources and the availability is really wonderful. But I will say that the Writing Center at Purdue just does a really good job. So here I put it in here, and I've already pulled it up. So this is the page for the Purdue Online Writing Lab that talks about annotated bibliographies. Now, caveat: annotated bibliography is similar to an annotated works cited page. A bibliography is done in an APA style paper. We're using MLA. So we're going to come down here, sample MLA annotation. Here's this as an example. And then we have this sample APA annotation. So when it talks about MLA and APA, this is our Modern Language Association, what we're using. So please make sure that you're following those guidelines. So here's an example. Like if you're wondering, like, what should this thing look like? Here's what it should look like. Here's what the information should look like for the document that you've used. And here's what an annotation might read like. Here's 2 paragraphs here, completely valid. Here's another one. This is APA, but still same type of information. Another couple of paragraphs. Here's another 1 paragraph here. You're annotating, providing information about that document. Now, if it's a document you're not going to be using, you would want to be explaining this. I read this document about family, discipline within a family. One of the papers was asking about that, or was talking about that. And this talks about contemporary discipline methodologies and contemporary families. And I thought this was going to be a fantastic source. However, as I read it, it does talk about this and this and this, but that really doesn't fit with what my theme and my paper are going to be about, which are these. So you're explaining why it wouldn't fit, but explaining what's going on in that particular document. I'm going to get rid of this. It's driving me crazy. So this Purdue Online Writing Lab is a fantastic source for this. I will put this particular link in the announcement, but also if you just Google Purdue Online Writing Lab, there's tons of information there. Anyhow, back to the assignment. You guys are on your way. There's 3 weeks left. We have this, you have your draft, and then you have your final paper. So absolutely, I hope that you are focused and going here. And if you are seeing this video and you have not been turning assignments in, you really need to communicate with me. Anyhow, I won't belabor that, because if you're watching the video, you're probably crushing the class too. Anyhow, thank you so much. I hope you have a great time. If a great experience with this Works Cited, it's literally 5 documents that you're reading and annotating. So please make sure that you are doing this work. It should not be anybody else's work. It should not be AI generated. It should not be anything but you putting your information on here. All right. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great week. I look forward to reading these, and I look forward to getting through your essays as well, because the drafts were good, so much better than the first round, which were okay. These were much better, and the paper I feel is going to be even more complex than that. Thank you again. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful week. See you.